Time now to open the notebook for This Week in Baseball's Twib Notes from around the majors.
Hi, folks. Welcome back to another week at Sidetracks Board Game Club in Elwood City. We had a really great time this weekend at the Earth Day Festival in Ewing Park. We got to meet lots of people and say hi, introduce people to some new games, and talk to them about Sidetracks and what we're all about. We also had a great time hosting the Air Force Academy parents from Western Pennsylvania on Sunday for a care packaging event at the shop. The folks came in and packaged a bunch of care packages that will go out to the cadets at the Air Force Academy as they prepare for their finals. Had lots of snacks and actually even had a copy of the game Love Letter for each of the cadets, which is really cool. So we were happy to have them in at the shop. We've got all kinds of stuff going on this week with our normal game clubs, and Friday night feature this week is the game Puerto Rico, which is a really exciting game that has a really cool action selection mechanic in it. At one time, it was rated the #1 board game on BoardGameGeek.com, which is a pretty high praise. It's a really fun game, not too hard to learn, and so if you're interested in checking it out, go to our Facebook page and look up the event for our Friday night feature and reply with the word Indigo for the game Puerto Rico to get in on that game on Friday. Saturday morning, we have our monthly game tournament sponsored by Elwood City Collectibles. This month's game is Seven Wonders, which is a really cool card drafting game.
Today's guest conductor for Take Me Out to the Ball Game, all the way from Sesame Street, Cookie Monster.
On 2, on 3.
So for this week's 7th inning stretch, the next game mechanic that I want to talk to you about is called deck building. And probably the most famous deck building game out there is Dominion. In a deck building game, we all get the same cards to start with. So like in Dominion, you get a set of 10 cards, and your 10 cards are going to be the same as my 10 cards. But then there's going to be this whole display of other cards to choose from, and we're going to slowly buy these other cards or acquire these other cards to build our own deck. And by the end of the game, your deck is going to be completely different than mine. Dominion is a pure deck building game. That's all there is to it. It's just cards, and you're playing cards and getting cards and playing cards. That's it. There's no board or anything. It's okay. I'm not very good at it. I'm not a huge fan of games that are strictly deck building and there's nothing else to it. I mean, I appreciate how pure the mechanism is here, and for learning deck building, this is a good game. But there's really not much else to it. Another game that's similar, but I think maybe a better starting point for a lot of people, is a game called Summer Camp. This game is pretty pure deck builder as well, and it's really basic, and it's a good concept of like a Boy Scout or a Girl Scout camp, and so the theme makes sense. But in this game, there is a board, and there are a few things you're doing on the board, but for the most part, it's mostly deck building. You are trying to earn merit badges, and you are traveling along these different trails of hiking. But what you're essentially doing each turn is you're trying to build your deck and then play those cards to move your hikers and to earn those badges. Again, pretty pure deck builder, pretty fun. I like it a little bit better than Dominion because there's a little bit more to it, but it's a super easy game to learn. The games that I really like are games that are not pure deck builders, but they have a deck building element to it. One of my favorites over the last couple years, I learned this game. My friend Bo traded this game to me, and he said, "You're going to really like it." And man, was he right. This is one of my favorite games ever, Concordia. And in this game, there's a huge map of the Mediterranean, and you're going out and you're building colonies, and you're trying to trade different goods. You generate iron and silk and wine and these different goods, and then you're selling them and trading them and building new colonies. And so there's a whole mess of stuff going on in the game. But the mechanism, the way you're doing all these things and taking actions is through deck building. You get a certain number of cards at the beginning of the game, same as everybody else, just like in Dominion, just like in Summer Camp. You all start out at the same level, but then the sequence in which you play your cards and the other cards that you purchase to put into your deck dictates your strategy. And there's a half a dozen different ways you can go, or even more than that. There's a bunch of different strategies you can take, and you're going to build your deck depending on what your long-term strategy is. The cool thing and my favorite thing about this game is when you're purchasing these cards to build your deck, they're giving you short-term things you can do based on the actions that are on the cards. But also on these cards, on the bottom of the cards, are your long-term point scoring conditions that are going to dictate the score at the end of the game. So for me, deck building is a cool mechanism when it's integrated in other games. So what I often suggest is play a game like Summer Camp or play a game like Dominion to understand what deck building is, and maybe you'll love those games. But if you're not a huge fan of those, or you think they're maybe a little boring, they're just not enough, then look at a game like Concordia, where you're doing some deck building, but it's just one of 3 or 4 other things that's going on. Those games to me are super fun. One of the things that we added to our website this week that we definitely want you to check out is information about our summer day camps. So for 3 different weeks in July, we're going to be having different summer day camps. Go onto our website. There's a quick 1-minute overview video that talks about the day camps. And then there are 2 different videos that show the themes for these different camps. They're geared for kids ages 9 through 16. And each camp is slightly different, but the age ranges are just suggestions, and they're pretty flexible. So if you're looking for a reason to get your kids out from behind their electronics this summer, looking for something for them to do, definitely check this out. These will be half-day camps that run from 12:30 to 4:30 for a week each. And the kids will get a snack and a drink each day, but it also includes a summer membership for the kid. So that way they can come in during all the open gaming times over the summer and play for free if they're part of one of these summer day camps. So we hope you'll come out this week and join us around the table, pull up a chair, have some fun playing games. See ya.